Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lou Raguse. Well, you can probably smell the corn dogs and the Sweet Martha's cookies from anywhere in the Twin Cities. The Minnesota State Fair is open, and thousands of people are streaming through the gates. The first people in this morning slept overnight at the gates to get in before everyone else. We've got a solid week of weather ahead for the first few days of the fair. We'll check in with the weather team in just a little bit. And if you're at the fair, make sure to come see us. The KARE Barn is located near the corner of Judson and Nelson. We also have water filling stations, the voice chair, the penny press, and more. Happening right now, Hurricane Erin is churning up the east coast of the United States. You can see some strong waves and worsening weather conditions beginning in this live view here from Virginia Beach. The skies are darkening by the minute as Virginia prepares for what Hurricane Erin might bring today. Erin is predicted to peak today along the east coast, will weaken over the next few days as it moves further from land. A little further up the coast in Maryland, Hurricane Erin is bringing dangerous rip currents and surf conditions. As the hurricane makes its way north, several states are seeing strong winds and high waves. North Carolina is currently under a state of emergency after the storm hit the Outer Banks and flooded part of the main highways. Michael Yoshida tells us more.
The waves crashing here in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, as we're starting to see some of the impacts of Hurricane Erin. Here on the shore, you can see some of the beach erosion that happened overnight. You can see the cliff area right here as it breaks off and goes forward. This from all of those impacts they were talking about. The storm surge, the waves, also those dangerous rip currents. Officials saying even though the storm well offshore, those impacts and threats are real.
Hurricane Erin might not be making landfall, but its impact is clear as it makes its way north off the East Coast. Much of the East Coast is under the threat of deadly rip currents and dangerous surf conditions. Officials warning people to stay out of the water.
We've tried our best. We try to get the messaging out. We've been very proactive, and it has helped. Like I said, the numbers, I think, show that. But again, it's still going to be very dangerous for these next couple of days. I'd imagine into Friday.
North Carolina is under a state of emergency, and evacuations have been ordered in parts of the Outer Banks, where the storm surge has pushed water past the beaches and into the streets, seen here cutting off part of Highway 12. The potential for towering waves and life-threatening rip currents could last for days in some areas. In Wrightsville Beach, the no-swim advisory runs through Friday.
After that, when you come out to the beach, always make note of the flag color. If we are flying red flags, stay out of the ocean. You are putting yourself in danger. And then when you are in distress, you need help, now you're putting one of my guards in danger coming out there to make that rescue.
And you can see still plenty of surfers out in the water. Obviously not what local authorities want to see. Again, a no-swim advisory here in Wrightsville Beach and at many other beaches up and down the East Coast. Thankfully, in looking up the beach, I'm not seeing a lot of just swimmers out in the water. But again, dangerous rip currents out there. Officials saying these dangerous conditions could last for several days. Reporting in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, I'm Michael Yoshida.
Today we're learning that Russia launched one of the largest series of strikes on Ukraine in weeks. Ukrainian officials say Russia launched 547 drones and 40 missiles overnight. Explosions were seen lighting up the skies over Kyiv. This comes less than a week after President Trump met with Russia's President Putin in talks intended to end the war in Ukraine. That meeting was followed up by a summit between Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky and other European leaders on Monday. Despite calling those meetings successful and the peace deal possible, Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social today saying, quote, "It is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country." In the last 24 hours, we learned Target CEO Brian Cornell is stepping down after 11 years at the retailer. A new person will take over his role next year, Michael Fidelki, who's been with Target for 20 plus years. The big question today, can he turn the tide for the company that has been on the slide for a while? Kent Erdahl has the story.
Target's new CEO is a true insider.
Hi, team. Today is a big day at Target, and I'm glad to have this time with you.
Michael Fidelki was even inside the downtown store before it opened today to introduce him to staff that already knew him.
You've known Michael and worked with him for close to 20 years.
But despite receiving a warm welcome from outgoing CEO Brian Cornell and a unanimous approval from Target's board, not everyone is sold.
You can tell by the market's reaction, which was negative, very negative. that it wasn't what at least a lot of investors wanted to hear.
Sarah Nassauer covers Target for the Wall Street Journal and says investors aren't the only ones signaling hope for a shakeup. Earlier this year, Target acknowledged that ongoing boycotts over the rollback of DEI programs hurt sales and traffic, and it's far from the only concern.
Shoppers are saying, this feels a little bit less relevant than it used to. Prices feel a little high to me. Stores feel a little messy, or out of stocks are a little high. Right? And those are more self-inflicted things.
Internal concerns have also climbed. She says Target's annual staff survey found 40% didn't have confidence in the company's future, with confidence even lower at headquarters.
To me, it shows that internally, people are also thinking, what's going on here? What's our strategy?
I'm not happy with our performance over the last few years. I know you're not too.
During his Q&A with staff this morning, Fidelki outlined his strategy to reverse 11 straight quarters of flat or falling sales.
We're a style and design-led company. Our unique path in retail is winning through that. The design of our stores, the design of our shopping carts, the design of the bag, all of that matters. We're different than other retailers.
They definitely need to make choices that will keep them different.
Seth Ketron is a marketing professor at the University of St. Thomas and says getting back to that Target budget chic image won't be easy, and tariffs will make it even harder.
Hopefully it's something they're already giving thought to, and that they're going to find supply chain partners that'll help them bring that to life sooner rather than later.
There's no two-sentence answer to building back traffic and love and loyalty with our guests. It takes doing all the things really well.
You can talk about your strategy, you can talk about your plans, but you have to show results. And I think that's what everyone is watching for and waiting for.
Developing now, new data shows some water at the Lino Lakes Prison has lead levels more than 4 times what the EPA says the maximum amount should be. According to the DOC, the contaminated water was found in 2 living units and a kitchen area, but they insist the Minnesota Department of Health says the facility's water is safe to drink and that bottled water is unnecessary.
And then to not be able to trust that the water you're drinking, that you're brushing your teeth with, that you're relying on is safe. It's just a nightmare.
An attorney tells us prisons are legally obligated to protect inmates in these situations, including providing medical testing and access to clean water. The DOC says the Lino Lakes Prison will undergo water testing every 6 months. A pickle plant in Green Bay is in, well, a bit of a pickle. The factory, which packages a popular Canadian brand, is feeling the crunch from trade tensions between the U.S. and Canada. Sales have dropped 24% after Canada imposed a 25% tariff on American imports. Perry Apostolakis has that story.
This is all fresh pack, so it's off the field in a jar within a day or two.
This plant on School Place has been packaging pickles since Abraham Lincoln was in office.
We'll do about 20 million pounds a month in the summer.
And I suited up to get an inside look at how it gets done. Owned by Oak Brook, Illinois-based company Treehouse Foods, they package Canadian pickle brand Bix.
So it's in English and French Canadian.
Right here in Green Bay.
That includes products from Canada, products from Wisconsin, products from elsewhere in the U.S.
In March, Canada placed a 25% tariff on some goods from the U.S., including pickles. Now, some Canadian stores can't afford or don't want to stock Bix pickles.
Bix pickles, our sales are down 24% over the last year or so. That means we're buying fewer cucumbers from Canadian farmers, fewer lids from a Canadian manufacturer.
So the Green Bay plant is running less production lines, and that means less man hours for employees.
We have other customers as well, so we have enough to keep us busy in the summer. But Bix definitely has an impact. It's one of our main brands.
If this trend continues, what realistically could happen here?
We're always concerned about reduced volume because that could result in layoffs or reduced headcount.
The plant employs about 400 people in the summer and about 200 in the winter. Regardless of what happens with Bix, Treehouse says they plan to bring more production lines to the Green Bay plant for buckets of pickles sold to restaurants. So the place could end up busier.
A new Princess K of the Milky Way has been crowned at the Minnesota State Fair. Mallory Thompson from Wright County received the award Wednesday evening. Mallory tells us she's been dreaming of this since she was 3 and that her mother was a finalist for the crown. She'll now serve as the Goodwill Ambassador for nearly 1,800 dairy families across Minnesota. Today and tomorrow, fairgoers will be able to see Princess Kay sitting in a rotating cooler as the butter sculptor works to create her likeness in a 90-pound block of butter. The other finalists will also be sculpted in the following days. Stick with us. More news and weather is coming up after the break.